to carry on. Open your heart, set your mind at ease. Live your life and you'll be free. We're gonna rise, rise, rise. Keep on rising, rise, rise, rise. Keep on rising,
Good evening, welcome to the Toon Review, where tonight myself and Stato are going to be previewing the Oil Classico match of the Saturday night. Manchester City take on Newcastle United at the Etihad, and we're going to be showing you potential lineups, talking about Manchester City and their strengths and potential weaknesses, and also we should be predicting scores, which is going to be quite a new thing. You know, with the Man City game going with a little bit of confidence. I certainly am. I don't know how you're feeling. If you're the same way, Stato, a little bit of confidence for Saturday.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if it was at home, I think I'd back us definitely to win. The fact that it's away makes it trickier. However, De Bruyne are injured. Bernardo Silva potentially out. They've sold a lot of depth with Grealish is gone. They've just played last night. It was a real tough game for them. Went to penalties. Of course, they for some reason didn't play extra time. It just went straight to penalties. Yeah, I think this is probably fallen the best chance. If we don't take it and get any points from this fixture, then we've maybe missed a trick. I think this is the best chance we've got, probably the best chance that many teams have got to take points off City this season. We've been gifted a nice opportunity early on. They've got injuries, they've had sales, they've not recovered yet. They played Wednesday. This is an opportunity. We've got to try and take it.
I couldn't agree furthermore. You know, it really is. It's not one of our happy hunting grounds, the Etihad, but still, these things are meant to be kind of broken, aren't they? Evening to you, Chippers, and Tony Honor. Also to John Green and Tucky and Ian A. And Julie Dorset Bell says, evening, guys. Buzzing over Lewis for potential move to us. That's come on leaps and bounds in 24 hours, isn't it? You know, the rumours are now a year's loan with the obligation to buy him for 28 million next summer, which helps out our FFP. I don't think this can go wrong now, can it? Potential channels are welcoming him already. Maybe a bit ahead of time, a bit premature perhaps. But it's pretty positive, I'd say, Stato.
Yeah, it's brilliant. I mean, the Chelsea fans, a lot of them are having a meltdown. At least the intelligent ones are having a meltdown because, fair enough, they've managed to shuffle things around to make the FFP work with lots of shenanigans. However, this is one of the first negatives. They're losing. I mean, losing Mount was a up for debate whether that was worth it or not. Obviously, they've kept Gallagher, but now they're potentially going to lose another player. He's an 18-year-old. Looks well ahead of schedule for his development. You know, he's playing somebody 3, 4, 5 years older. Looks like a cracking left back. He's going to be an incredible talent. And all the Chelsea fans are obviously a bit confused. They've got Cucurella starting ahead of him, and they feel like it's blocking a path for somebody like Lewis. Not only is the path now blocked, he's potentially going to go as well. I think it's incredibly good. There's a lot of people, a lot of neutrals now starting to turn their eyes to us, saying, "Oh my God, this window's been." Could it have been better? Well, of course, it can always be better. But in terms of the profile and age of who we've been signing, it's terrifying. Like, our squad building is really, really obvious that we're making sure in 3 to 5 years we're going to be a nasty team.
Couldn't agree more. Just to go off topic a little bit, if perchance you finally stumbled upon us tonight the first time, this is your first time to see us, hit that subscribe button. You know, it doesn't cost you a penny. We are heading for 23,000 subscribers now. And also hit that thumbs up if you've enjoyed what you've seen, of course. Give us a like. It does help us really much with the YouTube algorithm and things like that. Super Chat's also available by clicking the $sign, and memberships too by clicking the join, which is like a paid subscription, and enables you to enter our prize draws each month or so. We have given Newcastle shirts away already this season. So all those things there to consider, people. Tom Lynch says, Good evening, everyone. So, random ticket checks at away games require photo ID. This seems draconian. Annoyed I'm going to have to take my passport on Saturday. Interesting.
I'm not sure that's that shouldn't even be a thing. I'm not even sure it's legal. I saw something earlier that somebody posted online. So it's always true if someone's posted it online. However, I think this is from the .gov website. It's nobody in the UK is required to carry any form of ID. In everyday situations, most authorities, such as the police, do not make spot checks of identification for individuals, although they may do so for instances of arrest. I don't understand that. If they're going through all of this effort to make it all, through the Google wallets and Apple wallets, and you've got to transfer it carefully to a friend's membership or whatever, and then on top of that, you're going to get ID'd. It's overkill. It's overkill. Sort out any hooligans or drug issues, and stop giving priority to, people who were just going to watch the football. Honestly, I think they do need to fix that. I mean, Darren Hills and the club issued a statement and fixed things to do with the memberships. They've listened to the fans, and I feel like this is something that needs to be pushed. It is a little bit unnecessary. You can stop the touters and bad people without infringing on everyone's privacy.
Yeah, it does seem very draconian and very kind of animal farming to me. I don't like it. I've got to be honest. Tom says it's massively OTT, cancelling tickets at random, then having to collect a replacement from box office with photo ID. Yeah, I mean, they're getting stripped on touts, but there's got to be better ways than that to do it, surely. Like you say, if they're using technology for photo wallets and things, and you can transfer them to other members, I don't see what the problem is. If the other members are using the same wallets, I don't get it. I honestly don't get it. And obviously, it'll be club officials doing this, not the police, I imagine. So it's very, very draconian, I've got to say. I don't like it at all. Chipper says, looks like Hall is loan to buy. Yeah, obligation, £28 million, which I think is a snip, if I'm perfectly honest. Ian say, it'd be interesting to see if it happens on about the tickets. Sometimes a good deterrent works. And they're having a bit of a debate in the chat. This is a bad deterrent now, will cause chaos. I tend to agree with Tom, actually.
It will.
It's overkill. Proper overkill.
I mean, it's an assumption of me, and we don't like to assume. However, I would think it's probably a decent, safe bet to suggest that people going through hospitality are not going to get ID'd. Which, you've got to treat people with the same sort of respect across the whole spectrum. It's not fair.
James says, when I was at Villa game, the queues to get in the Leeds West corner at Melbourne were massive because of the ticket issues. Yeah. The digital thing went down again, didn't it? Evening to you, Tony. Hope you're well, my friend. Still having a massive debate about the tickets thing. So we shall see what happens Saturday. I guess that will be the first guinea pig of it all. So Norvik says, I'm absolutely buzzing. Been lucky at the ballot, opposite the Liverpool game, and won a tenner on the postcode lottery. Well, you've had a bit of a day then, Norvik. Congratulations to you, my friend.
Well done.
Colin says he's read that he wants to play for Eddie Howe, Lewis Hall. Evening to you, Marius, and to you, Mick Helmet Bolt, and to you, Paul Tully, who says, evening, everyone. Hall is a great signing. Maybe too late to see any minutes against City, but confident for the game. He's going for a sneaky 2-1 win. Yeah, people are confident about this. As I say, I can only remember us winning the Etihad once, and that was a game Pardew was trying to lose. Remember, in the whatever cup it was, League Cup, wasn't it? Put all the kids and reserves in, and they managed to bring away a victory. Do you remember that? Media Bed was playing, and Marvo and people like that.
Well, he had to do the same in one of the Europa League games, I remember. But yeah, he was in an interview recently, and he actually talked about that openly and said, I know it was a terrible lineup, but I didn't have any depth. I had to play that lineup. He was fully aware of who he was putting on that pitch. It's kind of nice to hear that from Pardew. He knew. I mean, when we qualified, we signed Anita, and that was it. He knew we weren't strong enough, and he had to try and manage with what he was given, which wasn't a lot. And we put out some stinking lineups in the Europa League and in cups. It was hilarious, but he was aware of that. And actually, is this bad? I actually kind of like Pardew in the last sort of year or so. I think of his interviews, he's been very, very kind to us, very well spoken, very honest, very open about where he's messed up tactically and in managerial roles. Kind kind of like the transparency, to be honest, because a lot of people just talk with ego. Like, to be fair, Pardew used to talk with ego all the time, whereas he seems to have mellowed a little bit and is quite honest. It's refreshing. I don't know if anybody feels the same.
No, I've always hated Pardew, and I hope his next shit's a hedgehog personally, but he has mellowed a little bit with age. He's not dancing at Wembley anymore. I mean, that was the only time I ever wanted Man United to win a game, was that Palace Cup final, especially when he started dancing.
Yeah, that was a funny one.
Calm down. We've got a super chat of 100 Norwegian kroner from Trolls. Thanks, Trolls, for your ongoing support. Very generous of you, sir. Really, really pleased with that. Alexander Holm says, hello again from the Skinny Slims, Oklahoma, Magpies. Well, afternoon. Paul says, we are never late.
No, that was me who said that. I used it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, that's all right. It's not Paul then. I thought he was typing from this shithouse then. Excuse the French. James says, I know that Man City started slow today. They normally do it at the start of the season. They do start the season slow, don't they? It's the best time to play on first 2 or 3 games, we hope. How do you think the game will go start? I mean, is it going to be a game of chess where we sit back and invite them onto us, or will we go for them? Do you think we'll be confident enough to have a go at them, aggressive?
In all honesty, I haven't the foggiest. Not a clue. Because this is the thing. Pardew? Wrong manager. Pep. Definitely a different manager.
Never could have been confused for them too.
No. Pep is a tinkerer. He likes to change shape, formations, game plans. This could be one that he changes for. He respects us. He's openly talked about us and Brighton. I could feel him changing shape, how he approaches the game. So I feel like we could have a couple of surprises in the lineup. Additionally, a couple of surprises in how they play. And then on top of that, you've got to factor in how we're going to play. So last year, for example, we went at Arsenal for 15 minutes. We realized we couldn't match them. We backed off in that first game. Could we do the same? Could we try and match them for half an hour? Are we going to try and are we going to select slightly different personnel so we could be a bit more rigid and solid? It could be a number of things. Or Eddie Howe's going to play the same lineup and we're just going to absolutely go for it and try and out-battering ram them. It could be a number of different things. It's very difficult to call. I'm hoping... Obviously, Eddie Howe's going to go for the points, but I'm hoping we do just go, we play our style, our football, high intensity, and we just absolutely try and match them. Because I think Sevilla did a great job last night. It was a pleasure to watch, and it was thrilling to see a team not frightened to have a go at them. I thought Nesri was incredible up front for Sevilla. Could have had a hat trick, should have had a hat trick. They should have won that game. They really should have done. And yeah, I think it's there to be had. They don't look, it's the beast that bleeds at the moment. They are beatable at the moment. There'll be a point later on in the season where you can't touch them. They just won't lose games. It will be impossible to beat them. But at the moment, I think they're definitely beatable. We've got to take our chance. This is it.
I agree. Emirates versus Riyadh, big game for the Middle East. This, I guess, it isn't a lot of local rivalry in that neck of the woods in the world, isn't there? Between the different states of the Middle East. But I think the Man City club and Newcastle United club, I think they're quite friendly with each other. I mean, if I remember rightly, of all the big six, they kind of abstained from all the votes against us being taken over. So not as bad as the others that were involved in that, the Liverpools and Manchester United and Tottenham of this world. I've spoken to a lot of Man City fans and they have a bit of sympathy with what we're going to be going through. Bit of tips, a bit of advice they've given us as well, given me, I should say, as a supporter. I'm quite a fan of Manchester City. I can't help it. I like watching them play.
Yeah, I agree. It does vary though. It changes. I think Haaland can have quiet games. Sometimes it can. I mean, I'm not a big fan of. This is going to sound bad, but I remember obviously when Spain were incredibly good when they won the World Cup. And although it is incredible football, sometimes high possession-based teams can be a little bit boring to watch in certain phases and certain parts of the game when it's being recycled by the back line, by the centre halves. It's, you get 30 to 40 passes that are just short passes that are not achieving anything. And it can be frustrating to watch. So there are elements of Man City's game that I don't enjoy, but sometimes they can just be absolutely frightening. They just seem to go for it with aggressive passing sequences every 30 seconds, and they just, again, battering ram constantly. More so with Haaland, they can afford to be a bit more direct, more so than they used to do with sort of false nines. But yeah, I prefer watching us. I think we're more exciting because of the intensity and the drama.
Yeah.
But we're obviously very biased. So
Well, we are, but we were entitled to be. I mean, we've never been this way with and the previous managers, would we? You know what I mean?
No.
Confidence going to Man City. I've got another $4.99 super chat from our friend Jimmy over in the States. Good evening, boys. Sure, you've discussed it, but chances we get Hall over the line. You never say 100%, but it looks like a 90% to me at the minute.
It does, yeah. It looks pretty certain. Don't want to say 100%, but obviously a lot of people were saying yesterday, and I shut down the links about loans and things because I just genuinely didn't believe Chelsea would go for that. I'm shocked Chelsea are going anywhere near this deal in this capacity, because it's terrible for them and it's great for us. It means that if it's going to be a loan with an obligation, it means they get no money now, or a bit of maybe a loan fee, whatever that's going to be. And we get the player for the next year, which is exactly what we need, depth at left back. And then we're going to end up getting him permanently anyway for what I think is probably a little bit undervalued. There's a few Manchester United fans saying that he's overpriced. I mean, they are not allowed in this conversation with some of the prices they've paid for people. You can go all the way back to Martial, to be fair. So I think this could be England's starting left back in 5 years' time. I mean, there's no reason he can't be with the trajectory and how he's playing at the moment. It could be incredible. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, I think it's really promising. And as we've said before, the two of us, we've seen him every time we played against Newcastle, and he seems to play against us quite often. And every time he's been, star of the show for them, no doubt about it. As an 18-year-old as well. It's an amazing player. Really, he's got massive potential. Can't wait for the adventure he's going to come on with this. It's going to be a massive one. Matty says, just wanted to say you two are smashing it in Paul's absence. Great shows a week. Well, cheers, Matty. Appreciate that, matey. Benyam says we will win Saturday. No Kevin De Bruyne. Interesting that. Have we got a look at Man City's lineup from yesterday, Stato?
We can do, yeah. If you want to
Put it up.
If you want to bring it on screen, this is their game against Sevilla yesterday. So Edison in goal, the back four of Gvardiol, Ake, Akanji, and Walker. Kovacic, Rodri, and Foden in midfield, with Palmer and Grealish out wide and Haaland up front. Not too sure what the rotation's going to potentially be. We've obviously, me and Billy have just talked about this before we've gone live. They don't have as much depth as they've previously done. They've sold a few players. Players like Mahrez is gone. De Bruyne's definitely out. Bernardo Silva is very doubtful. He's ill or something, so I'm not sure he's going to play. Maybe he will, but at the moment he's a doubt. So, I mean, if we bring up my graphic, where's my graphic? So this is average positions. This is why it looks all funny. That's their depth here. Julian Alvarez, Rico Lewis, Diaz, and Phillips in midfield. Those are the sort of obvious ones that are going to be part of the first team. Obviously, they do have more youngsters beyond this. I just don't see. I'm not as terrified as I would normally be to play Man City. I think Palmer's looks great, looks brilliant.
Yep.
The reason why I've done this shape is because if you look at the average positions versus Sevilla, that is what it actually looked like. So that was their offensive shape. Basically, every player in the opposition half, mental. So that was their average shape against Sevilla. It's not too far removed from how we play, to be honest. Normally, we have a bit more of a pivot there, with that Trippier. Normally, Burns sort of back there. It's not miles removed from how our average position ends up looking, in all honesty. So you can see where the inspiration comes. Normally, our midfielders are a little bit more split than that. It's not just all in a line. But, yeah, interesting from City yesterday. Let's actually have a look at I haven't seen the match stats. So we got player statistics. Oh no, we don't want that. I just want general match stats. Where are the match stats? Here they are. General. Oh no, we can't even see the general match stats. That's annoying. Well, there's the momentum bar anyway. Green is Man City. Here's the match stats. There we go. So yeah, you can see 74% possession from Man City across both halves. 23 shots, 7 on target. Just a barrage. They ended up blocking 13 shots, 8 corners to 0. Yeah, a lot. 14 free kicks is monstrous as well. 2 big chances missed, although so did Sevilla. They had the same. 10 shots inside the box is phenomenal. To only score one of them is just bonkers. I don't know if we get an XG value from all of this. No, we don't. We might get one from FOTMob though. Where's the Sevilla game? Here it is. Do we have XG for the Super Cup? No, we don't have an XG. Oh, well, that's boring. But yeah, so this is what we've got to be scared of. And again, who plays? I mean, maybe you guys in the chat give us a hand. Who's going to play? Who do we think is going to rotate in? Diaz, potentially. Diaz is going to come in for one of the centre halves. Maybe Gvardiol doesn't play again if he's played Wednesday night. He is a new signing. Maybe he gets rotated out. There's obviously Diaz to come in. Rico Lewis was favoured for the first half of last year. Alvarez in rotation, but does he drop Haaland for a Premier League game, especially against us? Because we're not exactly a bottom of the table clash. Phillips gets a shout. I don't know if he's going to trust him. Does he trust Phillips against us?
I think it's interesting. I mean, Kovacic, he's not the youngest of the players. How old's Kovacic now? Would he potentially give Phillips a go?
30s.
People say 2 games in a week.
Is Laporte not already gone?
No, Laporte's still there, but I think he's on his way out the door, isn't he? So I'll be surprised if he gets selected.
People are saying Stones. Stones is injured, I'm pretty sure. Is he not? Is he not injured?
Hasn't been in any squad so far this season. So, for a bloke that played so well at the end of last season. Yeah.
Hip issue.
Is it true Alex is going on Britain's Got Talent 2023? This stats knowledge or Twitter rumours, perhaps, says David R.
Just Twitter rumours, I believe.
If Hall is low to buy them, potentially a centre back such as Solé. What are your thoughts, Alex and Billy? Solé.
Yeah, is that the Salzburg centre half? I think we've briefly looked at him. If there's any more news comes up about him, then we'll do it in more depth in a transfer show. Yeah,
so let's just look at the difference between this Man City side now and what was left of the last season. Obviously, Ilkay Gundogan's left the club. It's a massive, it's going to be hard to replace him. Kovacic is a different kind of player to Gundogan, so slightly less attacking, would you say, Kovacic?
Yeah, without Gundogan, and Kovacic is not as creative as Gundogan. Gundogan was always appearing late at the edge of the box, in the box, different angles, popping up with big game goals, but extremely underrated. Kovacic is an incredible player, is an elite player. Obviously, played at Real Madrid. He's just he profiled. He had a lot of similarities with Bruno, in that he's a bit more of a ball winner. To a point, and people were a bit complainy of him not doing as much progressive passing as they would have liked. They whinged about him and Jorginho together a lot at Chelsea. Still, well, is he elite now? I think you'd still class him as elite. Pep's picked him up to slot in midfield for Manchester City. You've got to say, if he's trusting him, especially well ahead of Calvin Phillips, I'd say he's up there. If he's not in the elite category anymore, he's close to it, or he's just outside of it. It's still going to be difficult, but I think we've definitely got the legs on them 100%. I don't think they're going to enjoy it. I don't think the centre halves are going to enjoy it. I think our lads are very strong. Whether it's Barnes, Gordon, Miggy, Isak, Wilson, I think they're going to enjoy in this challenge because all of their back four, even if they rotate certain players in, are quite physical. Most of them could profile as a centre half, to be honest, whether they're fullbacks or not. I feel like our midfielders have got the legs and the agility on their midfield. I understand Rodri's world class.
Yes, it is.
Phil Foden's insane.
Yes.
However, we do play with a lot more intensity. I do feel like it's there. It really is there.
The stars seem to be aligning. Look, what I agree with that. Mark Pearson says, when it's about the Sevilla game last night, Haaland didn't get any service last night without De Bruyne picking him out all the time. I agree. I think he was very ineffective, Haaland, wasn't he?
I mean, to be fair, they scored partly because of him as well. So they went to pick up Haaland with a cross, and Palmer was free at the back post because Haaland was occupying space and defenders. That has to be, I'm giving the Chris Wood analogy here, but he's a threat. They had to put men on him. Kyle Palmer was free for the header because of that. Well, I'm not sure it was a header. Did he? I can't remember how he scored.
Header. Yeah, great header.
Was it a header? Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could argue that that's because Haaland was in the 6-yard box and had to be overmarked. But again, it's the Chris Wood analogy, isn't it?
Ian says Lascelles coped well with Haaland last season. To be fair, he did actually in the game with the Etihad. I think he still scored though, didn't he?
Yeah, but then we're also going to need somebody to
pass the ball.
Yeah, but he scored because of that filthy pass. We're still going to need somebody who's competent at initiating the counter attack. And Lascelles is not that guy.
Botman should have scored 50 goals by now if we went with our predictions for him. That's fair comment. If we play at our best, we can really hurt City, says Peter Griffin. I agree. European Cup final, says Paul Beer. The City defence was shaky. Yeah, they brought in Guardiola. Laporte's still there, but looks like he's moving on. So Guardiola is the only one that's come in, really. I think Nathan Ake will play at left back, and I think he'll bring Ruben Diaz in. If I'm perfectly honest.
I think it's a fair shout.
Yeah, Ruben Diaz seems to be the go-to man in the league, isn't he? Whether he leaves a Kanji out and plays Guardiola at centre half, they can do what they like, really, can't they? But I think Kyle Walker will play. Obviously, he's the captain now, isn't he? So turned down and moved to Bayern Munich, and him against Anthony Gordon is going to be some clash, isn't it? If that just comes to pass, Stato.
Well, yeah. Funnily enough, stats. Anthony Gordon was the fastest player in game week 1. So long may it continue.
Indeed. So that's the Man City lineup. You got anything, what about us, Stato?
So I have got our graphic up here, which is our predict. Well, this was the lineup for last week. This was last week's lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Are we expecting any changes? Do we think we need to change? Do we think we need to change because it's City? Do we just want to generally change? Midfield-wise, I can't see any changes in midfield. I can't see Longstaff coming in. It's got to be these three, surely. Surely it's got to be these three. The back four, again, I can't see any surprises. Unless Lascelles comes in, which is possible. He did this last year. Unless Lascelles comes in and there's a wild card and somehow Livramento starts somewhere. But I just don't think that's going to be the case. I think the questionable part is up front, is the front three. Again, we've had a full week's rest. I don't see why the same three don't start. Because Gordon against Walker makes sense. The pace, Miggy, very tidy. I don't see it. I don't see a world in where the front three aren't the same. Despite Barnes' incredible sort of however long it was, 15, 20 minutes, I feel like it's a case of Wilson, Barnes, Murphy are all going to come on as substitutes. And I don't think that's a bad thing necessarily. A few people say Murphy starts.
Potentially. I'll be honest with you.
Rigidity, maybe. It's a fair shout.
We all say Eddie Howe's very unpredictable, but I don't think he's going to be this week. If I'm perfectly honest, I think the Gordon v Walker confrontation is going to be one for the ages with the pace that both show. Gordon's got the pace to burn to go past Walker. You'd think Walker's got the nous, hasn't he? He's a fantastic defender. He really is. Even still at 33, I think he's a fantastic defender. I really do. John Robertson says Newcastle should go with them straight from the off 100%. We have a £10 super chat from Spike Milligan. He says he thinks Eddie will play an unchanged team. Interesting. Billy says if we beat City, the TV pundits will have a meltdown. They probably will. Darren Gallagher says the lads need to believe on the pitch Saturday and let our ability talk, because we have power, pace, class, and finishes all over that team now. But the team, a lot of people have got confidence, and I think it's fair to do so. It's still good for Chelsea because of the FFP year. Won't read that one. Sydney says, how clever are we in the transfer window? The takeover of the Premier won't be long. We're way ahead of schedule, but if we were to beat City Saturday and then go and defeat the week after Stato.
I mean, I mentioned this, didn't I, the other day? In a way, like, look, if we win the next 2 games, it's outrageously good. However, winning the next 2 games means we are top of the league and we've beaten 2 of the favourites for the league. All of a sudden, the media pressure is going to be more than we've ever faced since Kevin Keegan was in charge. It's going to be absolute madness because they're going to have a field day with it. And it might not be that we're ready for a title charge because I don't think we are at all, like nowhere near. However, if we do, you know, if the stars align and we beat City because we're well up for it, everyone's rested, everyone's fit. City played Wednesday. City have got injuries, yada, yada, yada. If we manage to beat them and also beat Liverpool before they get running because they're in transition, they're sorting their squad out. If we can beat these 2, the problem is then is they are going to create a narrative. Oh my God, our Newcastle, are we title contenders? Are Newcastle going to challenge for the league? Are we going to challenge for the Premier League? Are we good enough? Are they going to be able to sustain this? Is this? We're going to be all over. All the pundits are going to be talking about it. It's going to be national news. And it's going to be a lot of pressure. Maybe we'll handle it. I don't know. I just feel like it would be better. I'd prefer us to work quietly and unseen. I wouldn't be as disappointed with a sneaky point so that they just keep off our back slightly and we can really aggressively go for top 4 without there being too much pressure on us for retention because everybody's written us off as sort of a 6-7 place finish this year. I find that's mental because I'm saying that it might not be a bad thing if we don't win. That's crazy that I can say that, but
you said that, yeah. You actually said it. I thought
it's
that.
mental. It is mental, but obviously I prefer we win. But I do feel like it's going to happen that if we win, it's going to be the narrative. It's going to get crazy.
Oh, I agree with you. But to go under the radar, I kind of see that point. But if you go to Man City and win, it doesn't matter how it is. If it's 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, if it's lucky or not lucky.
Tom's quote, though, perfect quote. Completely correct. Pressure is a privilege, indeed, from Eddie Howe.
It is indeed.
Perfect quote. Pressure is indeed a privilege. But it's scary at the same time. But if these guys want to be the best, it's something you're just going to have to go through, I guess.
Indeed. David T says, RIP to Michael Parkinson, legendary interviews. Yeah, sad day. When I was a kid, 4, 5, 6, when I first started watching Match of the Day, which was a privilege for me because it was on at like 10 o'clock at night. After Match of the Day was always Parkinson. And so from the age of 6, 7, 8, I was watching Parkinson every week, week in, week out, getting him kind of connected with the football because he came straight after the football. So, tying them 2 together, yeah, a great interviewer. Had some great guests on his shows, all the best guests. Sad day, really, 88 years of age. RIP to him. Jimmy Moore says, I'm good, just getting over a bout of dehydration. You and me both, kidder. You and me both. I've been off work for 3 weeks because someone tried to poison me at work. Strangely enough. Paul says, if we beat City, it'll be 5 minutes on how good we were and 30 minutes on what went wrong for City. Again, probably a good point. You know what the press's narrative's like. Shields, he says, wonder if it will start announcing some sponsorship deals after the transfer window is closed. It will be coy, not revealing what funds we have to other clubs. But think about that, Stats. Is it the right time of year to be announcing sponsorship deals?
It's fine. I guess we can do it whenever. I do feel like the horse is bolted now, though. I feel like we've too many times now we've said we don't have any money, and then we've spent double what we said we were going to spend. Nobody's going to believe us anymore. I feel like we've played that card twice now, possibly 3 times. It's not going to fly anymore. If we say we've only got 60 million to spend, we can't do more than 60. We're going to have to utilize loans. We haven't got any money. 150. It's just not going to fly anymore. Clubs are not going to be. They're going to know. They're just going to know. It's worked up to this point, but to be fair, after next season, it might not be a problem. A full season, playing the group stage of the Champions League and the prize money associated with that, and the broadcasting revenue on top of that, expiring contracts of the Deadwood, any player sales, sponsorships. etc., etc., etc. Might not be a problem anyway next year. We might just be able to spend it. We might not be as restricted.
Well, of course. Plus, if we are restricted, there's always a 4-part documentary that other clubs' chairman and financial people can refer to. Say, well, didn't they do this last year? Did they do this last year? Yes, we did. So that's not going to wear much more, as I wouldn't have thought. Hello, Julie J. Hope you're well. Mark says the future England squad will have Tino, Hall, and Gordon, and Miley potentially.
Very possible. Well, and Anderson if he switches to the right country.
Yes, he doesn't want to be playing for Scotland.
You can't be a Geordie and play for Scotland. I'm sorry.
No.
Same as Dummett.
Well, he was Welsh, wasn't he?
Yeah. Same thing in terms of being a Geordie but playing for a different country. Like, well, you're English if you're a Geordie.
There used to be a comic strip in a comic called The Dandy. I'm going back in nostalgia here, Christ. But a comic called The Dandy in which there was a cartoon in it called The Jocks and the Geordies, where these people used to meet up and beat shit out of each every week, but in comic form, kids' comics and Tom and Jerry type scuffles and that. As they made out they didn't like each other, but there you go. That was a little bit of reference to my childhood there. Christ. It's getting like the Antiques Roadshow now. Frederick said City played some strange football last night with a Kanji going into midfield. That's how they play, isn't it? They always push a defender into midfield to try and equal out the numbers there.
Yeah, where's the funny average lineups? We've got a blooming McDonald's advert there. We don't want that. Yeah, there we go. There's City's average positions while Edison can stay up there. It's a very brave shape, that is.
Yeah.
Very brave shape. Who's Akanji? The 25? Yeah, so Akanji's sat next to Trippier. And it's Gvardiol that's pushed well on the left.
Yeah.
Like really far on. Palmer obviously creating a bit of width on that right-hand side. I thought Palmer was excellent, may I add. Some of the trickery there against the, Spanish sides are well known for being quite technically gifted. Yeah. So for a young English lad like Carl Palmer to be sort of chopping it back, fake shots, little curling attempts, got the goal. I thought it was brilliant. I do love this. It's one thing I loved going into the World Cup. Watching Foden and Grealish warm up together. Do you remember that clip that got shown of them just punting 30-yard volleys to each other? Catch, dink, 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 30-yard volley. They'd catch it, few little dinks, 30. Like the technical level of some of these lads coming through for England now, it's a joy to watch because this was what we dreamed of. When Spain were in their heyday, we'd got Glenn Johnson, we'd got Stuart Downing, we'd got James Milner. These were the kinds of players sort of either fullback or out wide. And it was just terrible. It was so bad. So now to have players with such a high technical level, I feel like is a privilege in itself. It's lovely to have to be able to watch England. We just need Southgate to go because we've got
a manager. Just need a manager that can use the potential because it's being wasted at the minute. I've got to say. $5 Singapore super chat from Cheek Young Foon. Best time to beat City. Gundo and Myers have gone. Kevin De Bruyne out. Alvarez and Stone unfit. Walker and Ake mistake prone. Played 2 games more in Charity Shield and Super Cup.
Is Alvarez unfit?
He played against Burnley, didn't he? I think he'll play against us, if I'm honest.
I don't know if he's unfit.
I think that line we've got there, I think what they'll do is I think they'll put Foden where Palmer is. I think I'll bring Alvarez where Foden is, and I think he'll drop Palmer to the bench. That's not decrying of Palmer because he is outstanding, but I just think he'll rotate it as much as he can, really, because, like I say, for all the money they've spent, there's not a lot of depth there this season, which is a strange thing to say for Man City.
It is possible they'll bring in players. Like there's been rumours they're going to bring in Jeremy Doku, to be fair. And who?
Paqueta.
Oh, and Paqueta, yeah. I mean, if they bring in Paqueta and Doku, that's their depth sorted.
Yeah.
But I feel like we've not finished the window yet, and we could benefit because of that. And again, to all the people who mentioned we need to do our business early, fair enough. Hats off to you because this is what can happen. We've managed to get our business done as fast as we could, and City is still sorting their house out, as are Liverpool and Chelsea. It might be to our benefit, so yeah, it can work.
Liverpool seem to be sorting out Chelsea's out for them.
Can we make sure while we're here as well, guys, that we're liking?
Yes, hit them thumbs up, guys. Take 2 seconds. Tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to put Daisy on now. While you do that, get the thumbs up while you're doing your car emojis, and everything will be good. So let's have a bit of Daisy. go. That was your thumbs up time. Hope you've all done it. I took notice. Ivani Granny says Diaz is out injured, I believe. I'm not sure. I know he played against Burnley. I don't think he limped off. I think he was just rested last night. But
Yeah, I don't think it says it in any of the funny websites we've got. I mean, according to FOTMob, it's Zach Steffen, De Bruyne, and Silva is doubtful due to illness, and we've obviously still got Kraft and Willock. But this isn't, gospel. It could vary, could change. Here we got Robert Jones. I can't remember who that is.
Robert Jones.
Anybody remember Robert Jones?
Or one of the younger ones, I believe.
Let's go back to our lads, shall we? Let's look at the good lineup. Do we think this is going to change? Miggy, Isak, Gordon. Obviously, we've got Barnes, Anderson, Wilson, Murphy. So any of those.
Longstaff too. You want your Longstaff? Target can come in.
But I'm on about the front three, really. Are we thinking that any of these are going to...
I'm kind of emphasising that our depth for this game seems to be better than City's, which is something we never believed at one point, would we?
Do we think Barnes gets in somehow?
I don't think so, personally.
Any chances of Gordon moving over and Barnes forcing his way into the starting 11 with all of his goals?
I mean, the potential is the centre half usually plays on as a left back, doesn't he? If they play a full back, it'll be the left back will be and Walker play right back. I want to see Gordon keep Walker back. I think Gordon can do that. Barnes, while being quick, isn't as rapid as Gordon. So, if I'm honest with you now, that lineup there is the unchanged one from last Saturday is the one I'll be selecting, and I think that's what he'll do.
Yeah, I think that's fair. No shouts for Wilson to start, no?
Absolutely not. No.
Bless him.
No, he'll come on after the hour if he needs to. I mean, he might need to come in before that if things are starting to go wrong. But yeah, it's interesting. I just can't see. I can't see any changes. The team played that well last week.
What about Lascelles or Livramento?
There was a case that for Lascelles, it's strange saying that after last year's game, but I don't know. I think he'll just go and changed. If that ain't broke, don't fix it type of attitude. But I mean, we're not going to say this very often during the season because he's going to have to rotate with all the fixtures we've got. But at the minute, having not played for a week, have we got a game midweek next week? I don't think we have we?
Not 100% sure. I'll have to have a look. Where are we? So we've got the Liverpool game's on Sunday.
So again, we've got another 8 days rest. I don't see any rotation going on for this game. The Liverpool game, perhaps, because I think then we start looking at midweek games, don't we? Or do we? No, we don't.
Well, no, the Champions League draw is
the first. It's the day before the Brighton game. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't think we play until before Sheffield away or after Sheffield away. It's either before or after Sheffield away. I'm not sure which. Do we have any stats yet for the season? We do, but it is based on one game. So, look, we're the top of the league for goals per match. Dude, we're the top of the league for nearly everything, actually. Look, expected goals, possession. Oh, no, we're not. We're ninth for possession. Oh, never mind. Arsenal got 78. Oh, my God. Highest for shots on target. Oh, look at this. This is lovely. Everybody, look at this now because we're not going to be top for the whole season, unfortunately. And that's funny as well. We're 19th for accurate long balls per match. Considering we were so good at them last year, that's frightening. That's very strange.
Well, did we play slightly different yesterday with the high line? We were playing through them, weren't we? Rather than going from depth and deep, it was, the midfield. The Tenali's are picking holes, weren't it? So
joint first for yellow cards. Whoops.
Yeah, that's down to the twat of a ref. New member, Adam Pick. He's become a new member tonight. Welcome to the Toon Review community, Adam. You'll thoroughly enjoy your time with us, as we will enjoy yours in the chat. Evening, lads, says AJ. I watched our game against Villa in a bar in Skeggy. I went to the bar 5 minutes into the game, then Tenali scored. I screamed, "Get in!" Then the bar fell silent, all Villa fans.
Ha 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 ha.
They look vulnerable to pace last night, something we have in abundance. I agree with that. And that is why that lineup there is the one I'll be picking. How about you, Stato?
Yeah, that is a very, very fair point. They did struggle to deal with counter-attacks. A lot of space in behind to run into. But they are going to be aware of that. They know that we're we're quicker in counter attacks than Sevilla were with Isak, Gordon, and Miggy, and potentially Joe Linton powering through as well. That's pretty terrifying, and that's not including any substitutions we can do either. So they're going to have to be careful. This is a game that we can definitely win. So I know there's been a lot of Man City fans on Twitter are saying that we need to know our place, that we're not there yet, and it's disrespectful of that. I disagree. I think this is there for the taking. I think they're overconfident.
Especially with this piece of news. Matt Davies, member for 6 months, he says Diaz is out on a 7-day concussion protocol. If the game was Sunday, he'd be fit to play, but it's Saturday, so that's the 7th day. Didn't they play Friday last week, though? They played Friday last week, so maybe...
Yeah, they were the first game, weren't they?
So there's still a bit of a grey area there, whether he's 7th day. I mean, do they count the Friday he's playing on? I don't know. I'd rather they stick with Gord to soften up Walker than bring in Barnes. Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Newcastle in pot 4 with the Champions League. We are. We've got a $4.99 for super chat from Alexander there. And Man City have a brave shape because I don't think many teams really take them on. With our pace, it seems like we can put up a fight. But we saw that last season in the home game, didn't we? Even at home, teams are scared of them. And last season, we really were aggressive against them. It'd be interesting to see if Kyle Walker has the guts to step into midfield as often as he did last year. Of course.
I think they were lucky to get a draw last year.
They were, yeah. We also had on that day a proper one for Maxi, didn't we? Which obviously I haven't got now. But Tony says the EFL Cup is in August, September. We don't play in the first round, though, because we're in Europe. So we missed the first that we usually would have played.
Special privileges now, guys.
You get special privileges. You do indeed for being in Europe. So that's your team as well, Alex. Right, I guess we're going to have to do some predictions, don't we?
Is this my team?
Are you going elsewhere? That'd be my team. I wouldn't make a change. So that's mine. What would you do, or what do you think you'll do?
I don't know. I've just got a sneaky suspicion that Livramento is going to play.
Whereabouts? Right back, left back.
I think it's 90% certain that this is going to be the starting lineup. However, there's just a gut feeling that Livramento will sneak in somewhere. I don't think it's a game for experiments, but maybe for Burn. Maybe. Could be risky, though.
I think so. I don't think you'll play him at left back this week, especially with, it's going to be a one-game experiment, potentially with Lewis Hall coming in.
The thing is, though, see, I mean, somebody just mentioned that in the comments that an unchanged team is a little bit easier to prepare for, whereas changing one or two might be a little bit more difficult for Pep to prepare for, because I think Pep's he will be tinkering to try and play. He's not going to play the same way. There will be differences to how he sets up against us, I think.
Yeah, but they don't know we're going to be in change, do they? Do you know what I mean? It's all it's saying.
Well, I think they will plan for this lineup. They will plan for this lineup, and I think they will plan for Dan Burn. So if they, do what a lot of teams do recently, which is, Dan Burn being a trigger for the press and certain, trying to move things over to that side. Whereas all of a sudden, if Livramento is in, that whole game plan's out the window. I don't know, just a thought, but I think it's 90% odds on that this is the lineup that's going to play. Another exception being maybe Lascelles comes in.
I mean, potentially he could play Livramento where Almore is and totally shut that side down, couldn't he? And then take Grealish out of the game, which is, I guess, it's possible. But I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think there's any experimentation going on. Julie thinks Murphy for Almiron, which isn't really experimental. I can kind of see the merits in that too. But I think Almiron's pace is a little bit more than Jacobs, isn't it?
I don't know, actually. I wouldn't say Miggy's much faster than Murphy. I think Miggy's probably got a better engine and a slightly different skill set.
Right. Cheat says, Stat always wants to give an opinion on Neds, however, and says otherwise.
Exactly.
Well, that's just giving both sides of this coin, isn't it? That's what we all do. Lewis Hall and Lewis Miley, the future of England, says the Gestapo. Strange name. Cher was training on his own this week. I see him as the only potential switch out. Didn't know that.
Possibly. Yeah.
Dynamics Detailing says, does Bruno's recent form with you? Not at all. Not at all. He's got to start a bit quicker, but that's all. I think he'll do that as the game starts to come, get some more into the swing of things. A bit of rust, and the second half last week was outstanding, I thought.
Yeah, a few people mentioned about Murphy. I don't know. It's a fair shout. I feel like Murphy is playing better than Miggy at the moment. Miggy still looks good. He was reasonable in preseason. He's finding ways to score. He's changing his game a little bit more, using his right foot. I do like Miggy's improvements in his game. However, Murphy looks really good as well. He does look really, really good. It's just that added. It's Man City. You need to be so technically gifted and creative and imaginative to get through a team like Man City. Is Murphy as creative? I don't know. I'm not saying Miggy's amazingly creative, but
I think Murphy's probably a little bit more creative, if I'm honest. I mean, just think of his last game against Brighton America, that pass through to Elliot Anderson, and then that little ball through to Harvey Barnes last week. I can't. Could you really see Almond doing that? I certainly couldn't see him doing the pass to Anderson.
Again, it's completely different based on the fact that Miggy's left-footed and Murphy's right-footed. So they play in different ways as well.
They do. But it was strange seeing Murphy come inside, even as a right footer coming inside. And
yeah, he was doing a lot.
Which, Miggy wouldn't do that if on the other side of the pitch, would he? Do you know what I mean? If Lewis Hall gets signed by midday tomorrow, he could play. That is true, but I can't see that happening. Jan thinks Tino should get in at left back. Julie thinks that Grealish may not play because he played yesterday. If that was the case, then Foden would go to left wing and Alvarez would come in for him, I guess.
Oh, have you seen that? Yeah, Mark's just mentioned that in the chat. Obviously, Tonali was spotted in Wetherspoons, and somebody's asked Bruno today, who sent Tonali to Wetherspoons? Yeah, and Bruno's just giggling to himself, saying it's a good question. So somebody's put him up to it. It's funny.
Poker Pate asked what time episode 2 of the documentary drops. Midnight tonight. So if you're up and about, you can give that a watch. Julie says Murphy is rapid. Be a good race, actually, thinking about it. Murphy v. Almiron.
Honestly, they should do. There's a few teams that have done this in the past. They've released footage of like 40-yard dash competitions and stuff. I'd love to see our front line, well, all of the squad, doing like 40-yard dash competitions. That'd be great.
Well, Gordon would win the race, wouldn't he? Let's be honest. Gordon would have to be handicapped. You'd have to have a 5 yards kind of handicap, I think, to make it fair. Who would finish closest to Gordon, do you think? It's a good question. I don't know. It's a really hard question. I'm going to say Isak. I think Isak's
I'd say Murphy and Isak, probably the next two fastest.
I think Isak's deceptively quick. It's his long stride, isn't it? I tell you, he's quick and doesn't look it. It's Tonali. He's another one with a long stride. Yeah,
I thought that as well. A lot of people thinking he's a slow midfielder, but some of those runs, he's definitely quicker than people give him credit for.
Paul says, I can see Eddie changing it to go 4-4-2 with Murphy solidifying the midfield.
Potentially.
Gordon right and Barnes left, says Toon Gamer. Murphy over for Miggy for Rach. Mark says, I see there's, you just said that about Cincinnati. Julie thinks it was Bruno.
Almond, they look like they're good friends now, Bruno and Tonali.
They do, yeah. And it's great for us, that is. Right, predictions started. We're getting nearly hour up. How do you see the game going? And give us a score line and scorers if there indeed are any scorers.
I think we will score the first goal. And then I think they will score and equalise 1-1. And we'll get a winner in the second half. And we will win the match 2-1 over 90 minutes. I think it's going to be a long slog. I think there's going to be lots of added time, first and second half. And I feel like we're going to be the beneficiaries of that because we are fitter than anybody. I feel like we've got it. I'm going to go with Gordon to get a goal because he's been through on goal many times pre-season and he's had some reasonable opportunities and he keeps being wasteful. I feel like he's gonna put one of those away. So I think Gordon's going to get the first one. Then I think Isak's going to score the winner.
2-1 to Man City. Yeah. That's
2-1 to us. Yeah.
Sorry, I tip of the tongue. Just used to saying 2-1 to Man City. Tom says, used to be thinking in the late 80s, ITV used to win a 100-metre competition with footballers running in full kit and boots. They used to do it at the League Cup final. I think Franz Carr won it one year. The footballing postman certainly won it. John Williams, who played for Coventry, actually, he definitely won it one year. I think Coventry signed him on the strength of that, and he was absolutely shit. It's fast as soon as you put a ball at his foot. It was like a dog chasing a balloon. Absolutely awful. Isak has a technical ball skills that we will need against City. I couldn't agree more. I think he's going to terrorise our defence. C. Wilson chased Barnes in the last goal, a good 40. Jan says 2-0 to Newcastle. Don't overplay against City, otherwise you may start taking us seriously. Yeah. To be fair, Stuart Downing was a great player. You're wrong on that one.
I never liked Stuart Downing. I disagree entirely.
For run of the mill, boring shit to me. I think it's
what you mean that Liverpool side with Dirk Kuyt, Stuart Downing, Andy Carroll, that one that was like 8th, and that one that we don't remember very much.
Roy Hodgson's Liverpool side.
Roy Hodgson, Daniel Agger, and all of them. No, I could not disagree with you anymore.
And aside from that, he played for shit Middlesbrough, shit Villa. Even when he was at Villa, they were shit, weren't they?
I didn't like that. It was when it's Stuart Downing and Ashley Young at Villa at the same time.
Just a run of the mill average player would never get in the England side now on a Monday Sundays, but was a consistent kind of fixture in it when he was playing with Roy Hodgson. Capello, wasn't it? I guess.
Yeah, I was.
Calgate Primey, Aussie Steve. Morning down under. It's 4 a.m. here, and I've woke up to my favourite show. Good job, lads. Toon Army. Well, I've got to do my prediction now.
You have.
I think it's going to be goals. I'm going to predict 3-2 to Newcastle. I think it's going to be goals. I really do. It's going to be a great game of football. We're going to go with gay abandon. No respect for obviously, they're the best side in the world at the minute. No respect for that whatsoever. I go at them from the throat from the minute one. And goals from Isak, Joe Linton, and someone's got to do it. Botman. With the corner.
Botman with the 3.
Someone's got to do it.
Oh God! Well, we need some chat predictions now. So if you haven't already predicted it, or even if you already have, throw it in the chat. Give us your predictions. Give us your goal scorers. Give us why, and then it doesn't count if you don't click the thumbs up afterwards. So you might as well.
Ian says 3-3. 2-1 win says Matty. J7 header and a trips free kick. Poker Pater says 2 apiece. Mansell says 3-2. Julie J's going for 4-3. To us, that'll be a game of football to watch. 3-2 to the Toon, says Paul. Troll says we have a lot of pace up front. We do. David says Hart says 2-1, but I'd also gladly take a draw. Peter Taylor says 3-1 to Newcastle. Ash says 4-2 to Newcastle. And Julie then says, if you love the Toon, hit the like button. Well said.
But don't stand up. That one annoys me.
Carl says 5 are going on 3 apiece. Wonder what odds you get on that. It'd be a heavy price, I imagine. Botman header at last, says Robert. Yeah.
He's got to score eventually, hasn't he? He's going to be one of those lads where he's got that one career goal for us.
Jan says Barnes will score. Stephen says 4-3 or 3-4. Can't decide. Mansell says Tonali, Isak, Miggy scores first. There you go. Everyone's picked in lots of goals for Newcastle. Anthony Gordon winning down the wing. Gordon makes the Geordie sing. Gordon, we're all going to Madrid. Too much like the Liverpool one, isn't it? 2-1 Newcastle, Big Joe and Botman. God, 3 people predicting Botman. Can we please nudge Alex to not compliment the ref this weekend?
Yeah, I'm not going to talk about the ref at all. I promise. I'm going to keep my mouth shut on the referee. I jinx it every time.
Yeah, however, the chances are you won't have to compliment him because he's going to be fucking dog shit as always. Let's be fair. Phoenix says, Port Pie says 2-2 and 2-1. Late birthday present. I've had plenty of them in the past. Goals, Isak, Miggy, just to rub it in Grealish's face. Yeah, I forgot about that. I don't think they've ever met each other on the pitch since he actually made them comments, have they? I don't think Grealish has
tell you what, I've got a little comment here, Billy. That's not a bad shout. We haven't seen a direct free kick be scored for a while, have we?
The last one would have been against Man City, I think.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that.
Interesting shout, that. Maybe Tonali from a direct free kick. You never know.
I think that was potentially my favourite goal last season, though. From doing a watch-along point of view, was that free kick goal. Because I went absolutely berserk. I could see it happening before. You know, when you get a foresight of things happening, well, I could actually see this happen. I could see him scoring. I kind of built up to that as well.
I did that a couple of times. I remember watching, it was Chelsea in, what was it, a Europa League game or a Champions League game? And it was David Luiz stepped up about 45 yards out. And I was with like 6 people. And I went, he can hit these. He knuckleballs this. He's going to score this. Watch this. This guy's a beast at these long-range free kicks. And he stepped up and he thumped it about 40 yards in the back of the net. And they all went, how did you know that? I was like, just lucky.
I think Modo may be a Man City supporter. He says, so this game is going to be easy then. Absolutely not. I mean, we've got lots of respect for Man City. They're they're the best side in the world at the minute, aren't they? Club side. Just think with the injuries, fatigue, it just seems to be the best time to play us. If you are Man City fans, that is. I mean, you might still beat us, and all this talk will be academic. But if there ever is a good time to play Man City, I think now's the time to do it. And that's just what we're kind of saying. And being optimistic on the back of that. So there you go. Liam says 3-2. I don't know who that's to, whether it be City or Newcastle.
Well, hopefully us.
Martin says Downing was excellent at Borough. Was he?
I think excellence may be a bit of an overstatement there. Is he excellent?
I don't think he was.
Are we better than Sevilla? I think we are, yes.
The Blubber King says, sorry, folks, a 2-0 City incoming.
What a load of blubber.
Judy says 4-3 to us. Poker Peters again, 2-2. The Aussie down there, Calgate, says 2-1 to Newcastle. I'm on an Isaac. Tony thinks 2-2. Paul says 3-2. Indigo Figure says 2-1 to us. Neil says 3-2. And Calvin's wondering why we haven't selected Barnes. I think it's Gordon's pace against Walker. I think you've got to have pace against Walker. We're not saying Barnes is slow. And he may well play Barnes, but I don't think Gordon did anything wrong to be dropped, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I agree. I think Barnes is amazing, but Gordon was the preferred starter. He's fast. He set up the first goal. He got the assist for the first goal. His pace is a factor. Their defensive line has to be aware of it, specifically of Gordon, just Gordon, because of how fast he is. You just can't ignore that threat. It's like the opposite problem to Maxi. Ball to feet, Maxi in midfield, you have to make sure there's cover and you double up on him because he will run through your whole team. Gordon's the opposite way around. On the last man, you've got to make sure you keep an eye on him because if he's gone in that space, he's gone. You're never catching him. So it's kind of the reverse problem, and that you've still got an equally difficult thing to try and keep an eye on and control. Because if Gordon beats the offside trap, you're just never going to catch him. And then Isak and Miggy and Joe Linton marauding into the box, Tonali arriving late. You've got to be so careful. It's really exciting. It is really exciting.
I agree. A neutral, our Bournemouth supporter, Mark, he says, believe anything is possible, 2-1 to the 2, which is great. Black and White Sheep says, Gordon to open the scoring, Miggy to make it 2, Barnes in the second half, third, 3-0. Well, you never know. 3-1, Joe Double says, Nicole Watson.
In the chat.
Good for them. I'm glad they're joining in. 4-3, win it one in stoppage time, the Tuesday. That'd be a bit heart-stopping, wouldn't it? Nothing better than a last-minute winner, I've got to say. Conversely, nothing worse than a last-minute defeat. 4-1, Isaac, double, Barnes and Wilson. Everyone's really, 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 really confident. Tom has been sensible. I'm not predicting. Don't know if we don't win. Don't know if we don't win or not. But there's no fear.
No, Tom. Pressure is a privilege. You can't be on the fence. You've got to give a prediction.
Ben Yam says 3-1 to Newcastle. Isaac, Gordon, and Barnes. I'm going to try and find this Man City fan, whoever he may be.
Oh yeah, I can put it up on these. We do have a super sticker as well from Stephen Martin. So
we do we? Let's have a look. We do. We have a 199 super sticker from Stephen Martin. Thanks, Stephen. Really appreciate that, my friend.
So Super City, here he is. Come in peace. We have a nice rival fan. Lovely for a change.
Love it. Yeah. Hey, lads, I'll come in peace. Super City. I honestly think your lads will pick something up on Saturday. We are still in tinkering mode. There you go.
I think that's the fair
Appreciate
description.
That.
Tinkering mode, I think is fair. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I think odds on you'll win, but I think this is the best chance we've had in what, like 10 years? maybe longer.
The game I remember most is the one where Ben Arthur got his leg burst. Remember that one? Nigel de Jong did him.
With de Jong.
Because I really thought we were going to win that game as well. Calvin says best on play City away. Channel says 3-2 to Man City, but we will learn from it. The Blogger King says we will lose City this weekend, but we will still win the league. 4-2 to the 2. There's a cracking comment coming up. I was just saying. 2 for Isaac and 1 for Barnes and 1 for Murphy. I've got to say it now. Steve CU says Stuart Downing was worse than Nigel Quasi. FFS, absolutely no end product. Well, the one thing Nigel Quasi had was end product. He gave it to me. Blackpool got relegated. Oh my God, how times have changed. Imagine pictures 3 years ago. Yeah, it's unbelievable, isn't it? 5-1 says Billy. Saracen Ice says Heart 2-1, Head 2-2. Patrick says 6-1 Newcastle, Botman 6 goals. My word. C Stock says 4-1. And that's about it, I think. Julie says the video from last season. I know it is, yeah. You know, like I said, I could see it happening. I was trying to describe it happening before it actually happened. And it just worked a treat. I think it's probably the best commentary I did on a goal last year. And I went bloody mental as well. So,
yeah.
Anyway, at the end of the show, guys, we've done an hour and a bit. We've done the predictions, both predicting wins for Newcastle. We've predicted lineups. Let's hide that.
And make sure, if you're new, by the way, that we will be doing the watch along for this match that we're previewing right now. Will be on Saturday. We may or may not be joined by Paul. Depends if he's feeling okay. We shall see.
Just the City fans. I'm a 30-plus year City ticket holder. Fair play, sir. I know Newcastle have the same pattern we did when we were taken over. So the sky's the limit and shrewd signing so far. Yeah, as I said, this is the kind of advice I've been getting from City fans. Generally a good bunch, certainly compared to your City rivals. The red ones from Manchester. I'll say Manchester in inverted commas, but yeah, thanks for that, mate. Appreciate that. Hit that subscribe for us, buddy, would you? It would really help us out. We've come to the end of the show. Let's hide that. Let's get it back on screen because that's been like that for ages. We've come to the end of the show. We've done an hour and a bit. We predicted our scores, our lineups. Looking forward to Saturday now. Really am looking forward to it. I think we're all looking forward to it. It's going to be a great game of football, irrespective of result. I'll say that with bit of teeth because I think we have to win for it to be really enjoyable. But until Saturday, the watch along will happen. Tomorrow night, we're back again with late weekly news, I think it is. I think we're describing it as is, aren't we? Potential transfer talk.
Yeah, so it'll probably be a little bit of Lewis Hall, a little bit of game talk.
Mm-hmm.
If there's any new news, we'll be talking about all of it.
Or anything you fancy bringing up in the chat, we shall talk about that too. So until tomorrow night, have a great.
Well, we do have a super chat as well. Somebody's just dropped in, Steve N with the 199 before we disappear. So much appreciated there.
Oh, so we do, yeah. So we do. I'll just put it up quickly before we go. There it is. Steve N. Thanks, Steve. Appreciate that, mate. As I say, that's it now for tonight. Have a great rest of your Thursday. We'll be back tomorrow night, 7 o'clock with weekly news. Good night from me. Thanks to the mods. Thanks to you out there. Great rest of your weekend. Stato, do the Billy line.
Away the lads and lasses.
And that's just done. See you, folks.
Come back and check out some green.